the chairman of the board, swerving in the Ford. Game sharp like George Gervonta with the sword. I ain't the one to ignore.
Is Gervonta Davis hiding from Ryan Garcia, the RPG? What's good, everybody? It's your boy Cardinal Red Sports. Let's talk about it. Ryan Garcia recently gave an interview to ESNEWS, and he spoke about Gervonta Davis not signing the contract. Now, I recently did a video, and I covered the contract negotiation. I was talking about the rematch clause, and I thought when I did the video and I read the article that they were speaking about Ryan Garcia wanting a rematch clause, but they were actually speaking about Gervonta Davis wanting a rematch clause. And now that I think about it that way, I mean, I don't see why it should be like a no-brainer for both sides to want a rematch clause. I would think that Gervonta would want one. I would think that Ryan would want one. Both of those guys are on a level to where if they was to lose to the other guy, they would most likely have to have a rematch to avenge the loss, or fans would not stop riding them. I think fans wouldn't let them live it down, and they wouldn't be able to move on and just fight somebody else without there being a rematch. So I would expect both fighters to want a rematch. I find it weird that Ryan Garcia isn't pushing for a rematch clause. Now, is that confidence? He's confident that he's going to beat Gervonta Davis. That's a possibility. He feels like he doesn't need a rematch. He feels that confident in his victory. I mean, that's a possibility. But when you think about it from Gervonta Davis's point of view, he's actually a bigger star than Ryan Garcia as far as boxing goes. Now, Ryan Garcia is more famous, you could say, per se, because he has more Instagram followers. But those Instagram followers haven't really, I don't think they translate into actual boxing viewers. I think a lot of those Instagram followers are females who just like the way that Ryan Garcia looks, and they follow Ryan Garcia. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing. Shouts out to him for having a bunch of, females that like the way he look. You know what I'm saying? Ain't nothing wrong with that. But so I don't think it's a popularity thing for Ryan Garcia. I do think it's a popularity thing for Tank Davis, because as far as the boxing world goes, he's more famous and he has a better resume than Ryan Garcia. So on his end, I think he has more to lose. So I would definitely want a rematch clause in there, because I don't think if Gervonta once again was to lose to Ryan, he would just be able to move on to his next fight, without going back and circling the block and actually taking Ryan down. Now, there are rumors out there that Ryan Garcia already has another fight lined up, and that he might be going ahead with that fight if he can't get Gervonta to sign off on the contract. Listen, if I was Gervonta, I wouldn't sign off on the contract. I would definitely push for the rematch clause. And if I was Ryan, I would actually push for the rematch clause, because let's say both of those guys do have a good fight, and, Gervonta wins by, just barely wins by a point. Well, that's going to boost up Ryan Garcia's resume. People are going to look at Ryan Garcia differently because he was able to hang in there and not get knocked out by Gervonta, who has such a high knockout ratio. And on the other hand, let's say Gervonta Davis get knocked out by Ryan Garcia early in the fight. I mean, if he gets knocked out early, to me, there's really no need for a rematch. But because of Gervonta Davis' status, he would have to go back in there and rematch the fight to avenge himself before he can move on, because he's on that type of level to where people think he should just be running through Ryan Garcia. So there's no way that Tank Davis can risk that. It's similar to the Terrence Crawford Earl Spence situation. Earl Spence couldn't just go into that fight and say, hey, I'm not going to want a rematch clause, because there is a chance he could lose to Terrence Crawford, and vice versa. There's a chance that Terrence Crawford could lose to Earl Spence. So there has to be a rematch clause. It's mutually agreeable on both sides that there should be a rematch clause. Now, I'm not sure why this is a problem, I would think that both sides would want this. If Ryan is pushing for Tank to sign the contract without a rematch clause, I would think that there was something shady going on. If I was Tank, I would feel like there's something shady going on, because at Ryan's status, he should be wanting a rematch himself. So if there's a rematch clause that's not being honored for both sides, I would think that there was something shady going on. If I was Tank Davis, I wouldn't sign off on that, because either they're setting you up to get screwed by the judges, or I don't want to say that he's juicing, but he might be juicing. That would be in the back of my mind, that there's definitely something going on in the background. Now, I'm not saying he's juicing. I'm not saying he like juice, but there might be some juice involved, and I wouldn't sign that contract unless they guarantee you a rematch. And that's just for, once again, for mutual, for both sides. In case of a loss on both sides, this fight could make and break both guys' careers. It could make them, because if this is a good fight and it's worthy of a rematch, you will want to see a second fight out of it. So they're going to make a lot of money off of both fights. And if it's a quick fight, somebody get knocked out real quick, well, the other guy should want a rematch, because they're both on a level to where they both deserve a rematch. I'm not saying that I don't think that Gervonta Davis necessarily is on Ryan Garcia's level as far as resume, but as far as their status in the boxing world, they're similar. They're very close to each other. Neither one of them is a champion, and I would hope that in the near future that Gervonta gets a shot at Devin Haney and those titles. If those two don't get it on, I would hope that somehow he gets to fight Devin Haney for those titles. Even though I think Devin Haney's already got a fight lined up, I just think that Gervonta deserves those shots. And if anybody else is going to step in there, I would like to see Gervonta versus Loma or Devin or Shakur. Other than that, I really don't see the purpose of him fighting Ryan Garcia. I don't think Ryan Garcia is of the caliber of those other names that I just named. Even George Kambosos, if he could line up a fight with George Kambosos, I would like to see that. Because I just think that he's on a different level. Ryan Garcia needs some better names on his resume before I even want to put him on the same level as the rest of those guys. Y'all let me know what y'all think about all that down in the comment section. Hit that like button for me. Share. Subscribe. Holler at me on all social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter. More likely to get a response on the tube, so holler at me over there. If you want to collabo, hit my Gmail, flockofcars@gmail.com, and we are out of here.
Look, 1 blunt, 2 blunts, 3 blunts, 4 blunts, now I'm high in a bitch. Nigga, 1 bird, 1/5, I'm nerd. Yo, chick, now I'm at your bitch, and I'ma admit, she looking real thick in that fit. Soon as you leave, I walk up, gripping her hips, have her flipping the script, convince her to strip. You at home shooting free throws, flicking your wrist, but hold up, don't let me get ahead of myself. If you really wanna better your health, getting out of my area helps. What these young niggas carry, you melt your whole clique. She swallowed the whole dick, oh shit. Now let me slow down, cause I'm off the head bitch roll now. They didn't know, I bet they know now. I rep the hometown, Lewis Keys, nigga, let's go. Let's go, my West End niggas, let's go. My East End niggas, let's go. Louisville, let's go, nigga, let's go. Let's go, nigga, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go, yo, it's sorta like NASCAR. How these niggas take wheels off of fast cars, we not right. About to shine like dandruff and neon lights. Know you feel the shit that we on, right? I got your bitch and she's on pipe, taking pictures of herself. And if you're really slanging, you're snitching on yourself, jerk. So look at it that way. Why I'm looking at your rat from the back way. Then I'm looking for a black in the ashtray.